Coming up on NewsCenter now, Hurricane Dorian is stalled over the Bahamas, where a man from Gray, Maine is holed up in a condo, hoping for the best. We'll talk with him.
And on a much lighter note, we're talking about Bigfoot. Do you believe? One guy in North Carolina does. He has multiple sightings. He says he's got video to prove it. We'll take a look. This is NewsCenter now.
And good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Labor Day evening. I'm Lee Nelson.
And I'm Cindy Williams. Lindsay has the evening off. We're going to be talking a lot about Hurricane Dorian this evening. We'll tell you where it looks like it's headed. Keith, of course, will show us the latest track on the storm. But we begin with where it has been, the Bahamas.
A Mainer from the town of Gray was right in the middle of it. He was able to speak with NewsCenter's Clay Gordon, though, during the storm.
A fishing trip in the Bahamas washed out by Hurricane Dorian.
I've been here within a few days. Next thing we know, it's the Category 1 coming across. All of a sudden, it starts building up to a 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, yeah, we were taken by surprise.
Denny Denham is from Gray, Maine, and is hunkering down at his condo in Freeport, Grand Bahama. He's never been in a hurricane, and now he's right on the water.
The most incredible things I've ever experienced. And then on the other side of the canal, the palm trees are just bending right over. I mean, it's just one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
The island cut water and power. Infrared satellite following Dorian's path while we were on the phone. Remarkably, Denham still has cell service, showing us what it's like outside.
My deck's protected on three sides, so I can open my door, take a look, and not get wet, and watch the wind come screaming down the canal.
Denham says he's in a safe place, but not all are.
It's going to be really bad once this moves out and we see the amount of water, the amount of wind damage that's been caused down here.
Abaco Island, which is right next to us on the east, they got hit head on, and the situation over there is just terrible. They've been devastated.
And now water is coming through those big windows you see over there.
Devastation as Dorian leaves the Bahamas in its wake.
So that's my ground floor.
Denham plans on staying to distribute water and to help others. I'm Clay Gordon, NewsCenter, Maine.
Tonight, for our Pulse Pep question, we wanted to know if you have a preparedness kit for emergencies or if you even have an evacuation plan.
Yeah, we're going to talk about why it's a good idea to have that later on, although probably is fairly obvious. Right now, most of you, though, are saying you do not have one.
You can weigh in by heading to pulse.newscentermaine.com, or you can find it on our mobile app as well. We're going to take a look at the results throughout the shows tonight.
All right, and now let's talk to Keith about what's happening down there and what's happening up here. Hey, Keith, how you doing?
Hey, guys. Well, good news is up here is a lot quieter than down there, but we'll start with Hurricane Dorian, which has just got the latest advisory. Winds 145 miles an hour, gusts to 175. Movement, though, stationary. So now it's totally stalled out, and this is unfortunately part of the whole path here in which it will start tilting back to the north shortly. We'll talk more about that storm later. Let's take a look at our weather, which has been showery, just kind of gloomy through the entire day. Even when it's not raining, there has not been any sunshine around, and anything from light to moderate bursts of rain in there. A couple of the heavier bursts are now moving up into the Bangor area, so Bangor are going to see some heavy rain for the next hour, maybe hour and a half, a few downpours in there, getting lighter over southwestern parts of the state. But again, even when the bands move out, there's no sun behind this. It's just going to be cloudy and drizzly through the rest of the night. Current temperature is pretty flat in the 50s and 60s, and of course, without any sun to move us up, we're going to tend to stay down right around that water temperature along the coastline and even cooler into the mountains. So the showers continue to move eastward overnight tonight, but I'd say most of the night at least has a chance of showers until probably 2 or 3 a.m. at the earliest. And then tomorrow's a decent day. It's not a banner, sunny all the way kind of day, but we'll call it partly cloudy with temperatures in the 70s. Guys, our week overall improves after today, but we'll take a look at what Dorian may mean for us by next weekend in just a few minutes.
All right, Keith, sounds good.
Thank you. We are learning more information about the man who was found dead in Leeds, and police are now calling that death suspicious.
Now, police say Nadi Haji Muhammad from Minnesota was found on Bernie Hartford Road by a couple riding their ATV. Back on Saturday, police say Haji Muhammad had been arrested on cocaine charges in Rochester, Minnesota in mid-July and had just recently relocated to the Lewiston, Auburn area. According to the Post-Bulletin, a newspaper in Minnesota, Haji Muhammad was in possession of 16 grams of crack cocaine.
An autopsy was completed Sunday at the state medical examiner's office in Augusta, but the cause of death is not being released at this time. Detectives and evidence technicians spent Sunday in Leeds gathering evidence along Woods Road where the man's body was discovered. Detectives now are conducting interviews with anyone who had contact with Haji Muhammad in recent weeks.
And anybody with more information on this case, you are asked to contact the Maine State Police. Other news we're following this evening, Portland police are investigating a stabbing. It happened near the soup kitchen on Oxford Street in Portland. They say Richard McDowell of Portland is under arrest for aggravated assault for, they say, stabbing a 32-year-old woman. She was treated at Maine Medical Center for non-life-threatening injuries. Police say there is no threat to the public at large. State police say speed and alcohol were factors in a crash last night in Windsor that killed 2 people.
Police say Seth Lebrecq of South China and Jennifer Hood of Winslow were leaving the Windsor Fair. Lebrecq lost control of his pickup going around a curve on Route 32 right near the Windsor Veterinary Clinic. The truck went off the road, slammed into a utility pole, and landed on its roof. Police say Lebrecq was not wearing a seatbelt and was thrown from the truck. Hood was wearing a seatbelt, but she also died at the scene. Now to some national headlines. A fire broke out on a chartered dive boat off the coast of Oxnard, California this morning. At least 4 people are dead. Several others are missing.
Yeah, 39 people were on board this 75-footer when it went up in flames. The number right now, 34 unaccounted for. The only people who definitely survived were crew members. 5 were rescued by a nearby pleasure craft. This triggered a Coast Guard response from San Diego all the way up to San Francisco. The boat sank while crews worked to put the fire out, and officials are searching shorelines for any other survivors. Gun reform back in the spotlight after the mass shooting in Texas over the weekend. At a news conference this afternoon, investigators said the gunman had just been fired from his job and called both police and the FBI before the shooting.
Investigators are also confirming that he'd recently failed a background check to buy a gun, but he clearly got a hold of one anyway. 7 families are grieving the loss of loved ones. 22 more victims are recovering from injuries. After police tried to pull him over, the man sped away and opened fire at people along a highway between Midland and Odessa. Democratic lawmakers say they will be pushing for tougher gun control measures when they return to Washington next week. Top Republicans in Congress have signaled that they are open to some kind of gun safety legislation, but they are looking to President Trump for guidance. And yesterday, the president emphasized mental health over background checks.
The only thing that will make that happen is the president deciding and communicating clearly and consistently exactly what he wants.
Going back even 5 or 6 or 7 years, for the most part, as strong as you make your background checks, they would not have stopped any of it.
In the last month alone, 53 people have died in mass shootings across the country. Actor and comedian Kevin Hart is recovering from serious injuries he suffered in a car crash in L.A. early yesterday morning.
Yeah, check out the video here. You see that hole in the fence on Mulholland Highway where the car went through and rolled down an embankment. California Highway Patrol says the driver lost control. 3 people were in the car. Hart and the driver were taken to the hospital for major back injuries. Troopers say alcohol is not a factor in the crash. Well, real estate markets vary in cities and states throughout the United States. We're going to take a look at some of the best and the worst and where some New England cities stand.
Plus, Tom Brady is getting a little flack and maybe some laughs for this video from the sidelines. We'll take a closer look next on Now.
All right, we're back with this on this Monday evening. If you are looking for a new place to call home, it's important, of course, to get a handle on the housing market you're considering.
Home prices and rental rates vary widely across the U.S. right now. Wallet Hub recently compared 300 cities of varying sizes and found that Boise, Idaho is currently the best place to buy a home. The study took into account 23 key factors, including median home price appreciation, home sales turnover rate, and job growth. Frisco, Texas came in at number 2, and number 3, Overland Park, Kansas. At the very bottom of the list, Detroit, Michigan, and Newark, New Jersey.
So I guess we're headed to Boise, Idaho, right after the show. No main cities made the list. However, Manchester, New Hampshire was 85th out of the 300. Boston was 153rd.
For me, I couldn't handle it if it was landlocked.
No,
so that
no way.
should be a
That's not gonna
factor.
happen.
That should be a factor.
And this too, more Kmart and Sears stores are on the chopping block. About 100 additional Sears and Kmart locations will close their doors by mid-December or sooner. This announcement coming just weeks after the two retailers' parent company announced that 26 stores would close in late October. The company hasn't released an official list of stores that are closing in this latest round, though.
Today marks the 50th anniversary of the ATM. What would we do without them? The automated teller machine made its first debut at a chemical bank branch on Long Island back in 1969. Now it's estimated there are more than 3.5 million of them around the globe. That's roughly about one ATM per every 3,000 people worldwide. However, with the increase in mobile payment systems, the use of ATMs is steadily declining. People just don't carry cash anymore.
Yeah, there's no need.
I know. The Jonas Brothers are suckers for a great surprise.
The trio responded to an SOS from 16-year-old superfan Lily Jordan in Pennsylvania. Cancer treatment forced her to miss the band's show over the weekend, so she invited them via Instagram to visit her at Penn State Children's Hospital. And of course, it was an offer that Kevin and Joe and Nick could not refuse. Nick's wife, Priyanka, was also there to pop in and say hi.
Well, the Twitterverse is going crazy over a video of Tom Brady on the sidelines of Thursday night's preseason game against the New York Giants. You can see Brady standing behind rookie Chase Winovich with a pair of scissors. It appears he cuts a piece of Winovich's hair without him noticing, and then Winovich just stands next to Brady, and the Super Bowl champ shows him the piece of hair he just cut off. The two laugh about it. Yeah, you'd laugh too if Tom Brady cut your hair, right? Well, this video is definitely going viral.
So a little backstory on that too. Number one, usually the rookies have to get their heads like shaved or haircuts majorly, and apparently that's not happening this year. He also went to the same college that Tom went to, so there's an extra closeness thing going on there. So
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Well, do you believe in Bigfoot? We'll introduce you to one man who swears he has seen 3 of them.
Is it 3 big foots or 3 big feet?
I'm going to go Bigfoots.
Okay. Plus, when will the rain clear? Keith's going to have the local forecast and give us a closer look, of course, at Hurricane Dorian's track.
Hurricane Dorian has already had a huge impact on the Bahamas, and it's beginning to impact the coast of Florida as well.
And it is events like hurricanes that serve as really good reminders that we need to be prepared for anything. The question is, do you have a kit at home in case of emergencies? You can weigh in on our Pulse poll right now, pulse.newscentermaine.com, or on our mobile app, and we'll check the results in a bit.
And NBC's Chris Clackham gives us a look at why it's such a good idea to be prepared just in case.
Unlike wildfires and hurricanes, with so many disasters, you have no time to prepare.
It's a disaster. We call it that for a reason. You know, your lives are going to be impacted, your stuff's going to be impacted.
But that impact can be softened by preparation, like preparing a kit of essentials.
Food, water, phone charger, your medications, a small first aid kit.
A kit you can grab at a moment's notice once you've grabbed other family members.
Practice this with family members and children, which way to escape. Have a spot that you will meet at so you can account for everyone.
But studies show that more often than not, we're separated from our children when that disaster happens.
Cash and non-perishable foods are something else you'll need, especially if you have to evacuate. And something you can do now is document your documents.
Right now, just take pictures of your house insurance, your car insurance, important documents to your family.
This way, the aftermath is nowhere near as bad as the disaster itself. Chris Clackham, NBC News.
How many times have we talked about having a preparedness kit and just not put it together?
I know.
You know, you think
it's kind of human nature.
Right, I'll buy a gallon of water and put it in the basement, but that was like 5 years ago.
Right.
I'm not
and,
sure if it's still
and
good.
I think we have a flashlight. Oh, wait, we have flashlights on our phones.
You know what
right?
I loved about that was taking pictures of all your documents.
Yeah, that's
great
a
idea.
great idea.
Great idea.
I do that anyways because I don't trust myself with like keeping things.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, the good news is in Maine we don't have to evacuate very often at all. So that's the positive. We're going to talk about Dorian. We're going to start with our weather, which is decidedly less interesting, but a lot safer. So we'll take that. It is cloudy. It is dreary today. It was just kind of a strange day. It was one of those days that it felt like the same time of the day, the whole day, right, with the cloud cover around and the showers off and on. And now some of the heaviest stuff moving through Bangor on the way to down East Maine and just scattered showers behind it. But there's quite a few showers still back even to Albany, for example, in Burlington, Vermont. So we'll see at least scattered stuff through 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then after that we'll be clearing out. Temperatures flat, mirroring the ocean along the coast in the mid-60s, 50s into the mountains, but obviously we just didn't go anywhere temperature-wise with a lack of sunshine around. So showers continue for the next few hours, and again, you know, 1, 2 o'clock is when most of these showers will be gone. And tomorrow's not a tremendously nice day, but it's nice enough. We'll call it partly cloudy, temperatures in the low and mid 70s. And then as we head into Wednesday, we start with sun and then cloud up pretty quickly by, say, midday, maybe even late morning. And then Wednesday afternoon through Wednesday night, showers and thunderstorms come through. Should rip off 2 really nice days after that. Thursday and Friday both look good, but coolish, probably only in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees. All right, let's have a look at Dorian. 145, gusts to 175. Movement stationary, so it's not moving at all right now, which is really bad for the Grand Bahama, obviously. It's been there since last night. So we haven't seen too many images out of there right along the eye wall, but it's not going to be pretty. Visible, this is actually water vapor imagery. Notice how the eye wall now is getting a little bit more circular again after getting ragged for a few frames. Chances are that we're actually going to retighten the core of this storm, and it's going to stay pretty strong all the way for the next 24 to 48 hours. Now, where's it going? We've talked about this before, but it's going to get bumped just along the coastline of Florida, then up into the Carolinas, and largely out to sea after that. But it is a very delicate balance, obviously. All the models in agreement with this path, but it brings it very, very close to Florida, and then it kicks it out, and the official landfall could be technically in North Carolina, where the eye wall might cross over as a Category 2 or 1. What does it mean for Maine? Probably not much, but next weekend, it's going to be close to us. There it is Friday and into Saturday. Now, it's worth noting, of course, at this point, it would not be, maybe it's a minimal Category 1, more likely it's a tropical storm. That's through next Saturday. So we'll keep an eye on it. You know, I would say it's probably just going to be breezy, you know, like 40 mile an hour. I guess that's windy. 40 miles an hour could be. But if it kicks farther out to sea, it'll be nothing. If it goes a little bit farther west, it's not going to be a devastating situation either way. But could we catch a gust to 60 if everything goes right? Sure. So we'll keep an eye on that, and obviously keep an eye on Florida. It's great seeing, as it should be, the faith in the forecast down there. But it is scary how close it is and how much of a turn it needs to make to get out of Florida's hair.
I know. Right. To me, right now, it
looks like it's going to hit.
Turning.
Yeah,
I know. It would be
will,
really freaky.
It will work out, but man, we'll be biting our nails in between.
All right.
All right,
we'll
Keith.
Keep
Thank
watching.
you
Thank
very
you.
much. All right, I'm figuring Keith does not, so we're not asking him, but do you believe in Bigfoot? One man from North Carolina swears he has seen not 1, not 2, but 3 in the woods near his home.
And he says he has video of these Bigfoot sightings. We are not convinced, but here is Brandon Goldner to give us a closer look.
Despite the signs outside his Hickory home,
crazy.
Doug Teague and Crazy Daisy strayed away from the wooded trails in McDowell County. He was grabbing some cameras he had set up, hoping they recorded images of a longtime fascination, Bigfoot. As he was walking back to his truck,
then a rock was through. She chased it. I just kind of stopped, took the phone out, gazed the hill, kept looking. He's still up here.
Not just one, he says 3 different Bigfoot stared at him from the hill. This is just a snippet of 10 minutes of video Teague says he recorded.
He's moving.
Just describe to me that moment, just emotionally, just...
like a giddy school kid. Just nervous, heart beating, it was crazy.
He's a member of the Catawba Valley Bigfoot Research Club. McDowell County is considered a hot spot for these sightings, though the path leading to this larger-than-life creature often goes cold. Scientists say there's a logical reason for this. There's no evidence Bigfoot exists. Teague disagrees.
They're real. They're there.
As does Vicki Cook.
It went in front of my camera.
Earlier this summer, she shared this grainy video taken outside her Cleveland County home.
Screamed. I didn't know what it was, but that thing was tall.
With big feet to boot, both Cook and Teague took casts of the creature's feet.
There's probably a lot more evidence than people realize.
Some will scoff, but others, like Cook, Teague, and even his granddaughter,
he's moving,
believe. In Catawba County, I'm Brandon Goldner, NBC Charlotte.
And there you go. It was Bigfoot, not Big Feet, because everybody has seen Big Feet.
Right. Got it.
We got a lot more news ahead in the next half hour for you. It's Labor Day, and union workers across the state celebrated the day and their solidarity. We'll take you to the Southern Maine Labor Council's annual breakfast, where the most prominent issue seems to be talk of providing Medicare for all.
And more talk of the hurricane, large and scary, one as big as Dorian. It's hard to imagine a couple falling in love during one like it, but we're going to meet two people who met in the rushing waters of Gaston and who are still holding on. That's all ahead. NewsCenter at 5:30. We'll take a break and be back with Brain Drops.
All right, this is pretty cool. This is a ship from 1845 called the HMS Terror, of all things. Who would have known something would go wrong? So they set out to go over the Northwest Passage in the Canadian Arctic, and the ship sank. They didn't know where because they just never heard from it again.
Sure.
So this is the mid 1800s. So anyways, they didn't find the ship till 2014. It took a long time to find it. Wow. This is the first footage they just got recently of the ship itself, and because it was so deep and dark and the water is so cold, it led to a level of preservation with this. And just wait till the next screen here that you don't often see. There are literally plates that still have etchings on it. It looks as if it just sank the other day. And they think the documents are actually intact from the maps and whatnot, because everything got closed shut by silt. It's pretty neat stuff. I think here's some of the stuff here. Just
look at that.
Bottles just sitting on there. Side note to this, they think there might have been some cannibalism prior to this sinking. They found some bone marks that look like a saw on some of the human remains. So lots of intrigue
Maybe
here.
some of your ancestors.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not good eating, though. That's the only problem.
Right, way too lean. All right, Keith, very interesting. Thank you. NewsCenter at 5:30 is next.